if you see a musician playing music outside of a Walmart, any Walmart, technically they're not supposed to be taking money, but you should give it to them anyways. You just slide it into their guitar cases, slide it into their pockets. As long as they don't ask for it, they're allowed to have it.
Welcome back to Local Music Talks. I'm your host, Kayla, and I'm here to learn all about NAPA local musicians and what makes them each and all unique. Today I have with me Alex Key. Alex Key is a 29-year-old singer-songwriter in the alternative genre and a former Steamtown Music Awards nominee. Alex is a second-generation musician who grew up in Scranton. He got his first taste of fame in 2018 when Patrick Robinson of the Kidston Arts Alliance recorded him playing an original song on the streets of Tunkhannock, which then became popular on Facebook. How are you doing today, Alex?
I'm doing all right. I'm alive.
All right. Well, I'm happy to have you here. And the first thing that I want to know is why you're here today, how you began playing music, and why you continued with music.
That's several questions at once. I am here today because I was lucky enough to get an invite from you. And because I want to get out there. I want to put my name out in where people can hear it. Because that's part of the process of being a musician these days is
exposure.
No one's going to listen to you if they don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm. But why are you here today in terms of music?
Well, I was born to a musician, second-generation musician, and I grew up without bedtime stories. I grew up with bedtime songs, and a lot of them were whatever he was practicing at the moment. So I grew up on Arlo Guthrie and Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan songs, and as I grew up, there was always like, what instrument are you going to play? Was a big question.
Mm-hmm. Now what sport are you doing? What instrument are you going to play?
Yeah, now what sport, although there was some of that too. My father was very much like, you've got to be a well-rounded person. You can't just hyper-focus on one thing and let that be all you are, because if that falls through, then you got nothing.
Yeah, of course.
So I started off playing violin, actually, at Robert Morris Elementary School in Scranton.
Yeah.
That didn't last very long. I didn't go very far with that. I wasn't very good at it. And then the only violin I had kind of later on died in a house fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was thinking, like, I hadn't played it in a couple of years, and I really wanted to get back into it. And I said, I don't know how to fix this. And my dad was in a band at the time, and his bandmate was like, oh, I repair instruments.
Yeah.
I'll restring it for you. A month later, I got handed back the charred remains of... it was just the chin rest.
Oh, it wasn't even
left.
your house fire?
No. It wasn't my house fire. It was a bandmate's. And part of that was lucky. Part of that was like one of our close family friends just got a house fire. And like, I can't really feel bad about my loss because
I guess
it's like a drop in the bucket in the comparison.
Well, I'm sure it pushed you towards other instruments.
But
then, right?
yeah, it was that, or I really thought I was going to be a bass player to begin with. Like a big fat fingers. I figured big chunky strings.
An upright?
Well, upright.
Oh no, you were thinking electric.
I actually played around with an upright in high school later on when I moved to Factoryville.
Okay.
And but no, I thought I was gonna be like, slap at the bass and play that. And I have a bass. I can play a little bit of bass, but you don't really make music on your own with a bass, unfortunately.
No.
And so guitar. I mean, acoustic. At the time, my father had an endorsement with Martin Guitars, and he was just like, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, I need a guitar. And he's like, okay, we'll get you a guitar. And I'm thinking, like, I'm going to have a Martin guitar, my first guitar. Nope. I got this really not awful, but it was not by any means a good guitar, like a high-end guitar. But it was my first guitar, and I loved it regardless. And I was playing it all the time for probably 6 months. And about 6 months in, I realized, like, I'm frustrated. I haven't even played a full song yet, and I put it down. But eventually, because I had it there, I came back to it, and it took years of me doing that, putting it down, coming back to it. Before my father was like, "You can have this guitar. You can have a Martin guitar." And from there, that's the one I take around and practice with, or play with and practice with now.
So you didn't get into it until you had like a better guitar?
I mean, I was into it, but I wrote my first song on my first guitar.
Okay.
And once my father started seeing me like actually being a musician with it, I was taking it with me places. I was writing songs. I was playing full songs, and he gave me not just any guitar, he gave me his first, I think it was his first Martin guitar.
Oh, okay.
He was going in for an upgrade. He could buy him at like half price straight from the factory. He'd pick guitars from the same room that like big name musicians, Eric Clapton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have this special room with guitars in it at the factory. Again, I got to go on tours of that factory. It was fun. They have like yellow lines that you got to stay in for the tour.
Really?
Yeah, but when you're endorsed, they go, "Oh, you see these lines? We don't worry about those lines," and they just take us around the factory. Yeah.
Wow. So that's why you're into music, is your father?
Yeah, it's my father. Huge inspiration for my music, or at least a huge driver for my music.
Okay.
He's always pushing me towards doing something with music. And in chorus for several years, actually, I didn't tell you this for my intro, but the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association, PMEA.
Oh, yeah.
I was a participant in that for several years through chorus.
What, did you just do chorus? Did you jazz chorus?
It was chorus, and I got invited to do the next level up. I think it was madrigal for Lackawanna Trail.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't. I don't know why. I'm done with it.
Oh, you shoulda. You shoulda. No, I understand. I've done a lot of those festivals. It's very tiring. A couple days straight. I'm doing intercollegiate band for Keystone as well, too. So it's the same thing, just on a collegiate level. But that stuff really does, it lets you meet musicians and really, like, I've made a lot of friends out of that, like, have continued doing music past high school.
I made 0 friends during that time period. Yeah, we stayed in our close little cliques while we were there, and then I left. I didn't know anybody. I actually forgot that one person, it was in my school, came with me to this thing, forgot they were there entirely. I ended up working with them at Taco Bell years down the line, and I started getting known as like the weird guy who would sing while he bags cinnamon twists in the back room. And eventually I heard someone like sticking up for me, like, you have no idea what this guy is, like who this guy is. He was going off to like PMEA events and he's like an accredited singer.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, who are you? We went to school together.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Too famous for them. So anyways, do you write your own music?
Yes, some of it.
Can you tell me a little bit about your writing process in terms of instruments and lyrics?
My writing process is I play guitar.
Okay.
And I actually have been thinking about this a lot lately and like the nature of music and all of that and why do I write? Why do I do this? And how do I do it? Because while I'm doing it, it's not something I'm thinking about doing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, music is about communication and emotion. And when I talk to people normally, I'm struggling to find words. I'm struggling to try and convey the thing in my head to their head.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do with words and intonation and everything, but you don't even need words with music to convey the emotion behind the music.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm trying to process emotion and convey it to people and get it out of me and into the world so someone can, resonate with it and feel what I'm feeling
mm-hmm.
and understand truly, that's why I write. So I'll be playing guitar and listening for the notes and the patterns that resonate with the feeling that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And from there, I try to like shape it more, make it more specific with the lyrics and the words.
Okay. Where do you draw inspiration for your lyrics?
It depends on the song. So some of the songs I'm singing or I'm writing are stories.
Okay.
They're either a singular story or amalgamation of stories. I have a song about, it's called Poor Boys, about a bar called Poor Boys, where I used to hang out and play darts on a team called the Poor Boys.
Yeah.
It is very thematic there. And it's not one story, but it's a mix of stories from
just over time.
Over time. The chorus is I swallowed a quarter still inside of me, and it's about Hiles Place in Scranton. It closed down.
Mm-hmm.
The first night I went there was the last night they were open. We were trying to drink them out of all of their beer.
Oh my God.
And we were playing quarters to try and pass
mm-hmm.
the time and get everybody drinking as fast as possible. And I went up to get the next round. I come back to my table, see I have some beer left, go to drink it, and everybody had shot their quarters into my drink. I didn't realize it until I'm, full tilt back, and then I see a quarter sliding down the glass, and it's gone.
Oh, I was going to ask if there's any hidden meanings in your songs. I guess that's one of them, right?
Yeah. Shout out to a Factoryville local with the first song I ever wrote, my friend Carl Galvin.
Mm-hmm.
It was I was always a large guy who has a small friend that hangs out with me. Don't know how it happened. It was a rotating spot for a while, but one of those people was Carl. And we'd talk, we'd share our, girl problems, our life problems, being teenagers. So there's a line in my first song that says, I don't, it's talking about I don't like believe your lies or believe lies. And I rhymed it with galvanized. I'm galvanized, baby. Don't even try. Mm-hmm. And it's me referencing Carl Galvin. Even that, I think that whole song is probably just a bunch of like double meanings and stuff like that because I was born in the factory or something like assembled in the factory is one of the lines. Factoryville.
You're from Factoryville?
I'm not from Factoryville, but I grew up early childhood in Scranton. Uh-huh. And then we moved out. I was about to go to high school and my father was very much against like city life. Yeah. I was sheltered the most of the time I was in the city. And I ended up being brought out to Factoryville. And my father thought, this is the time we can let him loose, let him run free for a little while. I got into so much trouble.
Really?
Yeah, and
how do you get into trouble in Factoryville?
Well, there's nothing to do but trouble in Factoryville. Are you kidding me? You go to the Ray's. Well, it's not Ray's anymore, but it was Ray's Market, and you hang out outside of Ray's, and that was for the most part it. And then from there, you all meet up at Ray's, and you figure out what trouble you can get into around town.
Fair enough.
And that was kind of my experience. Like I became a social person at that point. Yeah. I became, I was figuring out who I was at that point. So, for as much as I grew up in Scranton, I figured out who I was when I moved to Factoryville and started exploring the world here.
Yeah, because you get another perspective on things. You're not just in that one lifestyle that you've always grown up living. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite song that you've ever written?
Usually it's whatever I've written most recently is my favorite song. Okay. Just because I've hyper fixated on it. And my least favorite song, and it's all comparative. I love the song. I wrote the song. It's mine. Mm-hmm. But that song I was just talking about Factoryville, my first song, I really dislike playing it.
Why?
It's for the same reason you look back at your high school photos and kind of cringe a little bit.
Okay.
You're just like, oh, was I really like that?
Yeah. So how do you feel about playing live?
I feel much better about playing live than I do playing recorded. I play solo. I don't really play with a band. I haven't played with a band since, I played with my father's band. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to think about it really, like if I'm on time or everything for recording, if I've made a wrong noise that's going to get picked up by a microphone. At that point, I'm singing, especially unplugged when it's just like a small event. There's people gathered really close. You can really grab their attention and keep them focused on you. And that's how you're communicating the way you want to. So, yeah, that's what I prefer is a live performance. I prefer to be in front of people to get that immediate feedback from people. And if you make a mistake, it's really easy to get in your head about it. And it's not like the recording studio where you can just throw it away. Mm-hmm. You've got to just own it for the moment. Don't focus on it. And you keep going.
Yeah, it's not like a lot of people notice that anyway. Because you mess up one note.
Yeah, especially when you're performing an original song. It sucks forgetting your own work and like you wrote this, you should know it. So why are you forgetting it?
No one's gonna know.
Yeah, well, no one knows because unless they've heard it a million times before, they're not gonna notice.
Do you do anything or have a process or ritual to get rid of nerves or anxiety before performing? Or you just naturally
yes
with
and
it?
No. I'm never actually with it. It takes me like the first song before I'm really in the zone most of the time. Occasionally, especially if I'm playing at a bar, there's like liquid courage, but I try to stay away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I think just getting the process of, getting dressed.
Okay.
Getting, making sure the beard looks good. Make sure if I want a hat or, and if I look like I'm, if I look good, I feel good, I perform good.
Good. All right. So like aesthetics and outfits and costumes almost something that you like to do?
Not so much costumes. I guess costumes to some degree.
It could be. You wear what you wear every day when you perform?
Yes and no. There's some things that are overlapped. If I want to look nice to go out someplace, I'll wear a lot of the similar things what I would wear on stage.
Yeah.
But for the most part, early on, it was a different theme than it was, a year ago than it was 5 years ago. At one point, I was described as looking like a homeless gypsy all the time.
All hippie clothes?
Well, it wasn't necessarily hippie clothes, but it was like relaxing, comfortable clothes mixed with weird cloth vests, mixed with weird patterns. And
that stuff makes you stick out.
It did. And I did it all blue. I'd wear blue pajama pants with a blue undershirt and a blue hoodie. And I would stand outside in the cold at Walmart playing guitar as a practice.
Working for Walmart.
Yeah. Well, I did work for Walmart after that.
Oh, there you go. Put the vest on, tips on your break. So, do you have any other musicians that inspire the music that you write?
I definitely take influence when I'm writing from the things I'm listening to at the time. My musical tastes I don't stick to a genre most of the time. Actually, it wasn't until I was 23 years old before I could point at a band and be that's my favorite band. Mm-hmm. I could go and see any show they ever play.
And what was it?
It was actually Iron Chic.
Okay.
Is semi-local. I think they're from generally this area, between Binghamton, Jersey area, Pennsylvania area. And it's a bit heavier music, and the singer is more of this gruff and very emotional music. I always loved emotional music, so Counting Crows. There's a band called Red City Radio who I really love, and I know there's so many more. Motion City Soundtrack, I guess, is probably the biggest popular.
Oh yeah.
When they got back together and started touring again, I was so excited. I think
they're playing a big festival too.
Yeah, they're playing a big festival coming up. I've seen some posters for it, but I have actually been to their show when they did. I think it was in Jersey. There's one of the most easy to get to shows for me to go to, but I've been there twice, and I actually got to see them perform live twice.
Wow.
And growing up listening to it, I never thought I'd actually get to do that. Mm-hmm. Also didn't go to any concerts when I was younger.
Really?
Not until I was in my early mid-20s.
You've been going recently then?
Yeah, I think the last Motion City concert was probably my most recent one.
Yeah, you gotta go, man. It's so cheap for so many of these little pop punk bands that play in Philly. The tickets are usually $20-$30.
Yeah, that's Iron Chic. I went and saw them in Philly, and it was $20. Shit, drinks were more expensive than anything there. That and the fact that our vehicle got broken into while we were there.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you can't take nothing out there.
Well, my friend thought it was a good idea to park a soft top Jeep in the middle of a really not good portion of Philadelphia.
What venue did they play at?
Was it Philly or Pittsburgh? It was the Boot and Saddle. It was probably Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that one in Philly. It's Underground Arts and the Fillmore usually.
So the Boot and Saddle, it's a bar.
Okay.
But if you go through this door in the back, a really unassuming door in the back, they have a concert area, which is
oh shit,
sloped down into the back room, and it had such a good energy. It felt small.
Yeah.
But that means you're right next to other people who are
awesome. Like a basement show.
Yeah, it felt like a basement show, where you're the band wasn't even that high above you or anything. You were right there with them. They could lean down in, and you could sing with them into the microphone.
Damn. All right. So a little bit of Motion City Soundtrack. Do you feel like you ever write anything like that kind of stuff?
I would say when I'm writing, I'm taking lyrical notes more than anything, because what my sound is whatever emotion I'm trying to portray at the time. But when I'm writing, when I'm trying to express the words, sometimes I'll pick up on a phrasing or a word.
Yeah.
I love finding words that I cling to in music that I listen to and working it into the music I play.
Okay. Very interesting. Have you ever felt like your music has had an impact on other people?
Yeah. It surprises me every time too. Mostly it's my close friends. But I will get random messages like, hey, my kid keeps on asking me to play videos that you have on YouTube.
Aww.
I'm just no, right?
Aww.
There's not kids out there growing up listening to me now, is there?
No, there is. You're really good.
It just, I'm floored every time someone's I love this song. I listen to this song every day. This song is in my playlist on whatever it is.
Yeah.
They've ripped my songs off of YouTube, turned them into audio files so that they could put them on their playlists.
That must feel awesome.
It does. Actually, I was recently relearning my old music because, of course, I forget it when I take a 3-year hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there trying to remember the lines, remember the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And I was practicing outside of Walmart because that's my go-to creative zone, apparently. And a friend of mine just happened to stop by at Walmart. They saw me, they walked over, they heard what I was playing, and they heard me pause, and they're like, no, the line is this.
Oh my God.
They knew my own music better than I did.
That's crazy.
I was like, how do you even remember that? And then that's when they pulled up their phone. They're like, you're in my playlist. I listen to this song all the time.
Wow, that's got to make you want to do it more.
It does. It definitely does.
That's awesome, man. I hope that continues on for you. So what is the best piece of advice another musician has ever given you?
That's a tough one. I get a lot of pieces of advice from other musicians, particularly my father, because he most of the time is the one who has to put up with me playing.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. You haven't used your metronome as a piece of advice I get a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. Is that one from your father? Yeah. I was going to say from professional musicians, it's a little...
Well, he was... When I was a kid, he used to play the auto harp because he hadn't figured out how to play the guitar yet because it was just he doesn't have hands. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this.
No, you did not mention that.
Yeah, he's a thalidomide baby. He was born with deformations on his hands and feet. So he's got like half of a right arm and 2 mostly immobile fingers on the left arm.
Okay.
So it took him a little tinkering to figure out how to play certain things, but he grew up with music the same way I did.
Yeah.
He wasn't raised by a musician, but because of a gift battle of who can get the most annoying toy for their sibling, he ended up getting like a trombone and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he learned how to play the trombone. Later down the line, he found out about an auto harp, which is just a harp with buttons that you can press to play the notes. And so there was a point in which he wanted to play guitar, and he saw actually a musician that was also local to Factoryville in Scranton was playing at Andy Gavin's. And my dad saw him, and he's only using 2 fingers to make chords. My dad was like, hey, I only have 2 fingers. Can you teach me how to play guitar? The guy goes, you're crazy, right? Dad's like, yeah, I can work with crazy. And so Wade Rose used to be part of the band Old Friends. Old Friends, super popular in Factoryville. At least they were. He went about teaching my dad guitar in the last few years of his life.
Oh, wow.
So any criticisms my father got, our criticisms eventually got passed down to me.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm actually a multi-generational musician.
Okay, yeah.
At least in the teaching of music, I have been receiving.
Okay.
That being said, there's only so much you can learn about playing guitar from a guy who plays guitar like nobody else plays guitar.
Yeah, I can imagine. Unless you're trying to learn it the same way.
Well, he puts it down on his lap and he has to strap a pick to the one arm and then figure out how to cheat some chords out with the other hand. And
is he good?
Oh, he's really good. Like I said, he got endorsed by Martin Guitar.
Yeah.
He actually wrote a couple of his own songs himself that weren't bad.
Yeah.
Never tell your dad, like, it could be better.
No, it's great. It sounds great.
Never tell a musician that, like, I'm personally guilty of this. Musicians are some of the most hypercritical people of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I don't like writing in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm too concerned about how I'm looking or sounding at that time, it's really hard to get into that creative mind frame.
Is your advice the metronome?
Oh, yeah, my advice. My advice is definitely practice with the metronome. If you plan on doing anything like big with your music, if you want to record it, I didn't realize how important metronomes were until the first time I was in a recording booth and they started playing the little metronome click in the headphones. And I tried to play to it, and within 5 seconds, I'm out of time.
Yep.
And I have to, over and over and over again, I'm doing the practice when I should be recording the song.
Yeah, so you should have just been ready for that.
Should have just been practicing right along.
So I was going to ask you what advice you would give to another musician. Would you give them the metronome advice, or do you have your own advice you would like to give them?
See, it depends a lot on what they're struggling with, because I've had a lot of people ask me to teach them how to play guitar.
Okay.
And I tell them that's an awful idea. I don't know how to play the guitar.
Yeah.
I am a singer and a songwriter who just happens to play guitar.
Yeah.
And my best advice to people is don't learn from me. And my second best advice is, well, figure out where you're strong, figure out where you're weak. Play to your strengths and try to bolster your weaknesses when you can.
Okay.
So if you're really good at singing, but you're not so good at writing, then take some time to write. If you're really good at writing and not so good at singing, take some time to sing, but still like focus on keeping your writing as your main goal. Because if you're looking for a career in music, you don't have to be the front guy. You don't have to be the lead singer. There's always room for other forms of music in like the music industry.
Yeah.
So many writers are out there writing songs for whoever is the big name.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these big names, you look at their songs and who they credit for their music, there's like 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to sing the best. You can go out there and write the best and still get, heard.
That's actually awesome advice. So not like, you don't have to be good at everything.
Yeah.
Be good at what you're good at.
Be good at what you're good at. And like, if you want to be the front person, be good at multiple things, but also you don't have to be good at all those things because someone else will be, and you can lean on them.
Mm-hmm. Would you want to be famous?
That is such a hard question for me to answer because I've thought about this, and I think part of what holds me back the most is the fear of actually being successful.
Why?
Well, because if you fail, and okay, you failed, you tried, you failed, whatever. Nobody knows. Nobody really cares all that much. But if you're famous, all those eyes get on you, and you've succeeded. But then what happens if you fail? Now everybody's watching.
Yeah.
And they're gonna watch you fail. If you bomb, you're
harder.
gonna bomb in front of everybody.
But it forces you to try a lot harder.
Yeah. Oh, fear of failure is not as disturbing to me as the fear of success.
Is that a yes or a no?
Oh, of course I want to be famous.
All right.
I wouldn't be doing this at all if I didn't. There wasn't some level of me that going, you're the greatest. You should be out there.
Yeah.
There's money. There's attention. Go get it.
Yeah, money. Yeah, that's a good one. We'll all say it's for the attention, but
it didn't start off about it at all about needing or wanting money.
Mm-hmm.
But as time passed and the bills stack up, eventually you're like, I should be able to monetize this.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I could charge a little more for that. So, what do you do outside of music? Tell us a little bit about your personal life.
Oh,
if you'd like.
Well, I mean, if you're a train enthusiast, my life's a train wreck.
Okay.
No, outside of music, my life is, I'm a family guy. I take care of, not like, hey, a family guy, but I still live with my father. He's disabled. Technically my job is his attendant.
Yeah.
So I'm there for at least 5 hours of the day, cooking and cleaning. Mm-hmm. Just recently I had a kid.
Really?
Yeah. She's actually turning 3 tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Her name's Astrid. She's adorable. She's a little Viking. She says hi with a headbutt, and she keeps me busy a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, besides that, I'm still working on finding true love or whatever exists, and dealing with relationship issues.
Yeah.
But the things that keep me happy, the things that keep me going, I try to have hobbies, but I don't have an attention span, which is part of the reason why it takes me so long to write music and why I take so many breaks in between being out doing music and then being home.
Yeah.
I hyperfixate and then suddenly the dopamine stops and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's how it goes with that kind of stuff.
I have a 3D printer.
That's cool.
I have a really cool 3D printer.
What do you print?
Nothing right now.
Okay.
Dopamine wasn't there.
You have it though.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing I printed though was a lithophane picture, which is you print it in different thicknesses to try and then you hold the thing up to the light.
Okay.
And as the light shines through it, you'll see whatever the picture is. Mm-hmm. And the best one I had was my daughter on the day she was born. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool. And it's so many interesting things, so many cool things you can do with the 3D printer. And that's just one of the cooler, more unique things I've found.
Yeah. Do you ever write songs about your daughter?
I've tried. It's very difficult to really encapsulate the emotions I feel into a song.
I understand.
And I don't know, I'm not really good at writing happy songs either.
Okay.
I'm usually I'm here to make you feel, think about death and feel sad and stuff.
Well, it's good that your daughter is not connected to negative lyrics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great
I
thing.
like her too much to write about her.
Is she doing anything with music? Are you getting her into that?
Actually, she started off really liking music, and anymore lately, she's like, Dad, no, stop. If I try to even just like sing around her, she's like, Dad, no.
Aw. Gotta get her a couple of them like toy pianos, guitars, saxophones.
Oh, she's got so many toy instruments. Her favorite, unfortunately, is a little trumpet.
Oh, no.
It just toots. All it does is like makes loud noises. She plays with a recorder all the time, too.
Okay.
Doesn't know how to play it. She just blows into that.
At least she likes
blows out of your
noise.
drums.
You never know.
Oh, yeah. She likes it when she's loud. But if you're loud...
Oh. Well, I hope she gets into that.
Well, it's another part of the reason. Good. It's another part of the reason why I'm out at Walmart playing and practicing is because my kid's not there to tell me to stop.
Oh, jeez. Do you have any hopes for the future musically and non-musically?
Hopes for the future. I'm eventually be happy enough that I no longer want to write music. No. I eventually am happy enough that I can write music about happy times.
Okay.
I wanna get out and I really want to get my music on Spotify is probably the closest milestone I'm looking at.
All right. Do you know what you have to do that?
I've already started doing that. First, I have to get it like completely recorded through one song at least. Okay. And right now I'm doing the one that that got me sort of popular on Facebook, which is, I think we're going to call it Undertow.
Okay.
But my favorite... what I call it, my favorite title for it, because there's a couple that people keep on suggesting, but my favorite title is I'm not bad at swimming, I'm just really good at drowning.
Oh, that's cool.
And that one's already recorded for the most part by a guy named Spencer.
Okay.
Who runs a band called The Sorters.
Okay.
And they have a small little recording area that they built themselves right in their house. Mm-hmm. I think they already sent me a demo or two of how it's starting to sound.
Yeah.
And I've been there at least one time after the initial recording. And it was sounding really good. And then they got married and I haven't talked to them for a little while.
Oh.
And now I'm just like dealing with so much in my own life. I'm not really looking to chase them down right now. I want them to have like their honeymoon phase.
Yeah. Is this your first time recording?
Not necessarily my first time. My first time recording anything that I've actually liked. I worked with a recording studio in Scranton area before, back around the time I was in the Steamtown Music Awards. Yeah. It was around then. And unfortunately, I just didn't like the way that the producer was pushing my music.
Yeah.
He was definitely not, he was not there for me. He was there for himself. He likes to dress up, be the, devil in the suit trying to make all these moves. And I just want to make people feel what I feel.
I know. It's understandable. You're just there to make your music, not listen to what other people have to say about your music.
Yeah, and he said he was going to do it for free and record all my at least one of my songs for free and get it out there. And I'm like, cool. And I show up and he's like, oh, I think you'd sound really good singing this. And it's like Bruno Mars' Lazy Day. Like, I thought we were here for my music. And he was like, oh, yeah, we'll do that. But I really want to put you out there in the spotlight. And I was like, yeah, but that's not me.
Yeah, he's just looking for the money.
He's in it for the money. And I wasn't about that. So he even put out on YouTube the thing he had recorded with me, but without in my consent.
Oh.
As part of what stopped me from going back to recording studios is I told this guy from the beginning, I want to be able to sign off on anything you want to put out to the public before it happens. Because there's no guarantee that I'm going to like it, especially since that was my first experience in a recording studio.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to expect. And because of that, I started to expect crappy things from recording studios.
Yeah, I can imagine. But how'd you find the guy you're comfortable with now?
Actually, Patrick Robinson, the Kids and Arts Alliance.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the people, Patrick was one of those people during my 3-year hiatus-ish between my girlfriend getting pregnant, raising a kid for the first time. Mm-hmm. Every time he thought about me, he would send me a message, go, hey, when are you getting back into music? Hey, we miss you. He'd see my little brother, and he would go, hey, tell your brother he needs to start playing again. Mm-hmm. So, of course, when I first started getting back into it after that hiatus, I was like, hey, Patrick, guess what? I want to play. You got anything for me? Mm-hmm. Can I go do something? Can you want to pay me? Because I needed money at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's like, oh, we've always got room for you. And he just randomly squeezed me in for a hour set during it was some event in Tunkhannock.
Yeah.
And right before I went on, there was the Sorters playing, another friend of Patrick's, and they introduced me, and yeah, we started talking. He's like, we're looking to record local musicians who write their own stuff. So it wasn't probably even a month after that I was at their house recording that song.
All right. That's exciting. Are you excited to go back and finish it?
Yes and no. I'm always nervous about getting in front of a microphone, whether it be with an audience or in a recording studio. Yeah. Microphones are unforgiving in my mind. They pick up way too much. I hear myself breathe and I'm just like... But I am looking forward to getting my my music recorded and out there on Spotify.
So right now, where can we find it? On YouTube?
There is some of my earlier stuff on YouTube, a mix of originals and some covers.
Okay.
And it's on YouTube on a channel called The Brothers Key.
Okay.
It was a collaboration project between me and my little brother Arlo.
Okay.
Who is here today for emotional support somewhere out in the waiting room. He provided a microphone, some camera skills, and way more editing experience than I've ever had.
Yeah.
And some rap here and there. I think he threw a rap line into one of my original songs.
Okay.
And it was a good time while it lasted. Again, it was only a handful that's up there.
So we can find your music on YouTube, and we're looking out for it on Spotify. Do you know we're looking at months or weeks?
It's still early in the year, so I would like to say within this year. Within 2023, I'd like to be on Spotify.
All right. Do you have it anywhere else that we can find it? SoundCloud or Facebook?
There is some of my stuff on Facebook. My girlfriend at the time did a lot of recording when I was playing out at events, so it's not always like the best recordings of me.
But it's like there's some live recordings.
There's some live recordings, and again, that one that Patrick did got, I want to say like 30,000 views, something like that. Tens of thousands. That was the first time that I had gotten any like taste of fame.
Yeah.
Super nervous. The moment I saw more than like 3 digits on the viewers, I started getting nervous, and I kept on going up, and then I started getting messages like, "Hey, I saw you on Facebook," or I'd be out in public, and they're like, "Are you the person that was on Facebook?"
Aw.
I was like, "Yeah, please don't know me."
Well, they know you for good reasons. That's good. Is there anything else that you want your audience to know about you?
I would like you to know, and I'd like everybody to know, that if you see a musician playing music outside of a Walmart, any Walmart, technically they're not supposed to be taking money, but you should give it to them anyways. You just slide it into their guitar cases, slide it into their pockets. As long as they don't ask for it, they're allowed to have it. All
right, Alex, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful experience.
Yes, it was. All right, so you can find Alex's music on YouTube, and we're looking out for it on Spotify within the next year. Other than that, check him out on Facebook under Alex D. Key. Follow his socials to see when he's going to be playing some shows or posting or releasing music. Thank you all for listening, and tune in next time to learn about your favorite local musicians.